There's an email that came in last night that I thought I'd just read and reply to on the show, because I don't have enough time to actually answer all the email that comes in. So,
yeah.
Matt, I've noticed you're extremely polite to Christians during debates. She's watched videos of debates I've done online. And why do you do this when in fact they think you're a piece of shit? I suggest you watch Christopher Hitchens' debates and learn from him. He gave them no respect, which is actually what any atheist should do. They do think we're going to hell. I mean, come on, quit being timid. So first of all, the people that I've actually had debates with don't tend to think that I'm a piece of shit. They don't dislike me. I get along with most of them. I could probably call, any of them right now and say, hey, let's have, another debate, another conversation, with perhaps one exception. The other thing is that it's about addressing ideas and not people. I don't know what I've seen Hitchens' debates, by the way, and I don't... Yeah.
He's not out there being rude.
I don't agree with you that he gave them no respect. I think he gave no respect to their beliefs, and he didn't. But he wasn't out there as a raving, screaming, name-calling buffoon.
Hitchens could eviscerate you in the calmest voice possible. He had that wonderful voice.
But
he didn't
she's
need
not necessarily saying yell. It's timid. But the other thing is that I'm out there to address ideas, and I care how those debates are perceived by believers. And actually, I'd rather be engaging an audience full of believers than atheists. Mm-hmm. That's what, I don't need to preach to the choir, I guess.
Right.
So, thanks for that. And I will continue to work on getting better in debates. I do not think that your suggestions would actually make me better in debates or have a better result. So.
Yes. And you're probably the first person in the history of the show who's ever attached the adjective timid to Matt.
Well, yeah.
Most of the letters you get are like, God, Matt's really cranky today.
Yeah, you're a raging ass. What's wrong with you? And the thing is,
but that woman just really does not know what the purpose of these debates are.
A lot of the frustration, though, is public debates, big public debates at a university or whatever. That I've done quite a few of them. They're a structured format. They are about addressing ideas. They are about having an actual debate. And one of the things that I've tried to do in the more recent debates is I hate the joint press release format where I get up and say my thing, they get up and say their thing, I get up and say what I want, and this quick little back and forth, no interaction,
forensic
and
rules,
then we're done. I mean, we could have just phoned it in if that's what we're going to do. And so I've tried to have more direct questioning between the participants. Mm-hmm. Which I think makes it more conversational and potentially more beneficial, rather than sitting there waiting for 5 minutes and trying to take as many notes on as many things as they got wrong as possible, and then addressing them all in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah.
Lots of problems with debates, but
that was an advantage of the forensic debate structure that led to the Gish Gallop, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it allowed the Gish Gallop to be this thing that was developed as, I'm going to spout 20 falsehoods in a rapid-fire pace, and then you are now going to be in a defensive position of having to refute every single one of them in less time, while I sit here, looking smug.
Yeah.
And that's actually the formal forensic style debate has actually been bad, I think, for publicly addressing these ideas and actually having meaningful conversations about them. So
sometimes, and that's why things are a little bit different on the show, which, quite frankly, I'm often more irritated than I'd like to be, and a lot of it has to do, as I've said before, I'm talking about Martin, but a lot of it has to do with the problems with the phones, which some of it's got to do with cell phones, some of it's got to do with this box. You can't always hear each other. There's issues, and there's somebody who emailed to talk about whether or not, once again, we should interrupt. And so I'll explain that again, and then we'll get right to calls. And that is, I realize that in normal conversations and stuff, it's generally considered rude to interrupt, but it's a necessity in this format because I learned from the past that someone will begin an argument with a flawed premise. Mm-hmm. And then they will speak for a couple of minutes to build up their entire argument. And then when you want to go back to that flawed premise at the beginning, they've now put forward an entire argument based on something that's either false or needs better definition and clarification. And when you go back to it, you spend a lot of times running in circles on that, where, well, that's not what I said, or that's not what I meant, or, well, here, let me say it this way, and then go on and construct another argument. And now you're just building up what appears to be a wealth of information that is all really based on nothing. And so I will interrupt, because I think, first of all, direct questions need to be answered directly.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean by that. Please tell me. And if you duck and dodge, well, then you've divorced yourself from the conversation.
And I think that was a problem that, in a lot of ways, impacted the debate you had several episodes ago with Matt Slick, where he bogged the whole thing down on trying to argue this semantic point about the difference between term A and term B. What it was, real things or conceptual things, and this sort of, and it came down to that, and he was able to really derail the conversation, I think, by focusing on that point.
Yeah, I think there were other problems with that particular
but that was
discussion.
That was a big one, though.
And they have mostly to do with the way Matt's brain works.
Yeah, there's that. But also, when you consider what you see on most mainstream media, or usually radio is where you tend to find the live call-in format, not so much television, but what with everything that, we're imperfect and we learn as we go, and we've been doing this 15 years and we're still going to work on making it better, but for any program that you find out there that has a live call-in format, I think that our show is among the best for allowing in-depth conversation to go on.
You call it a radio show, you've got 30 seconds.
Yeah, meaningful exchange of ideas, and it's not this soundbite thing, you ask a question and the host gets in a cute little quip, and this happens with politics and all kinds of things, whatever. I think our show is still one of the best for how we do it. Even when we get it wrong, I think we do it better than most.
Well, let's get to calls so we can do it all wrong.
Yes, indeed. We're going to be very rude today.